approach to ambiguity and acceptance of ambiguity is also a really important leadership trait. And this is one of the traits that we found was most important at the most senior levels of leadership. So ambiguity is about complexity, difficulty, mixed information, different opinions. It's easy to confuse the curiosity and ambiguity traits. But the key difference is curiosity is about novelty and ambiguity is about complexity. Ambiguity is about complexity. It doesn't necessarily need to be new, but it's about complex, mixed, uncertain information, atmospheres, environments. Ambiguity is so important for leaders because especially at the more senior levels, there's always going to be mixed information. Different ideas for strategy, different ideas for tactic, different ideas for sales. And in any situation, any leader can hire an expert to tell them one thing. But it's really effective, really good leaders who can find different experts to give them different opinions, to give them different information, and a leader who can make sense of that, understand what both sides of the argument mean for their company, for their business, for what's going on in their organization, and make use of that effectively in a positive, constructive way. So a leader with low ambiguity acceptance doesn't like ambiguity or complexity or difficulty, probably wants one person to tell them the answer. And that's where a lot of the research in this concept came from, was ambiguity tolerance in the context of dictators. And dictators make sense of information by an oversimplified, clear, concise, and often fatuous answer to the problem. They remove the ambiguity, they remove the complexity, and give a very simple, easy answer to a problem. And this is the constant appeal and the destructiveness and the problem with leaders who can't handle or who will not reveal the ambiguity. And ambiguity is important for leadership because someone in that role needs to be able to process mixed information. They need to take different ideas and choose the best one, but use it in a constructive, effective way, informed by what they need to do in their company. And not everyone, and not every role needs a high ambiguity acceptance. And we see this even on leadership teams. There tends to be a wide variation in how much tolerance people have for ambiguity based on their role. A good, effective, and constructive strategic leader tends to have a high ambiguity acceptance. So they can manage the mixed information, they seek it out, they thrive in it, they make best use of all of the information that is available. Whereas even on senior leadership teams, we find examples like operational managers whose job is not to have the big ideas, who's not to come up with a creative vision, not to inspire people. And so they're going to check the contracts, they're going to check the legal agreements. They might seem pedantic, they might seem annoying, they might seem simplistic to some other people, even on a leadership team, but their role fits a lower tolerance of ambiguity. Because if they're in the right role, they are in a situation where they need to be making sure everything is precise, specific, well-defined, and sorted. And that's one of the challenges with ambiguity, especially on a leadership team, but in any team, is that people at opposite ends of the spectrum, like most personality traits, have difficulty understanding each other, sometimes get frustrated by each other, and might have difficulty communicating with each other. Because if you've got someone with big ideas, great vision, kind of anything is possible, blue sky thinking, that can be useful. But if you've got someone at the opposite end who is saying, these are the legal requirements, these are the conditions, this is what your contract says, this is the scope, this is the purpose, this is X, Y, Z laid out all in a line, and this is what has to happen, those two people might have difficulty relating to each other. And ambiguity really is whether you thrive in complex, difficult, sometimes unknown situations, or whether you work best when you've got set, routine, specific tasks set out. And leadership is all about ambiguity.